Hey guys, so we just got done with the US Open, part of the BJJ Tour in Santa Cruz, California. Aaron and I were out there coaching. I was working as a referee as well. I didn't participate in this tournament because I have a few tournaments coming up relatively close to each other. But anyways, I want to talk about just some common white belt tips, or just common tips that are good for anybody to know going into a tournament. Doesn't necessarily, it's good for everybody to know, but most likely that are going to be most useful for, people that are brand new going into a tournament. The first thing that I noticed as working as a referee was when when the referees make Lute calls. Lute means it's a lack of combativeness or stalling. There's two penalties. There's Lute and there's falta. Falta is an actual penalty, but Lute happens when there isn't something taking place. So let's say I'm in side control and I'm holding. I stay there for 20 seconds. The referee has the right to touch your back, and they'll make a fist and they'll say Lute, right? What I noticed happened at the tournament was a lot of competitors, the second that I would touch their back, they would just stop competing, right? And sometimes they would even just stand up. It was kind of like an awkward. And I remember when that rule first came out, there were experienced competitors that maybe didn't know the rule that would just kind of stop. Even black belts would sometimes stop and just stop competing. Which made for a really awkward match,
right?
Or a few seconds.
And it's the opposite of what should be taking place. You want them to fight, not stop fighting.
Not stop fighting, yeah. So the only time there's only four, vocal commands that the referee's gonna make, which is combate, anytime they start the match, paro, to stop, which literally means stop, Lute, which is like a lack of combativeness or
fight.
Stalling, lack of fight, right. Yeah. I guess telling them.
Yeah, fight.
And then, what's the other one? Falta. Falta is a penalty. Those are the only four commands that the referee is supposed to be allowed to say.
When they say falta, is there a period of time? Are they warning you, or they're telling you?
Falta is a penalty. Penalty's taking place. Yep. So is Lute. Lute falls into the same category as a falta. And for the adults, so this is another important, just kind of continuing with the advice. But for the adults, you get 4 penalties, 4 faltas, or 4 luches, or 2 faltas and 2 luches, 3 faltas and 1 luches. But your 4th one is a disqualification.
Got it. So
it's kind of rare for a 6-minute match or a 5-minute match to get 4 penalties, but it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Your first one's just a penalty. The second one's a penalty and an advantage for the other person. Your third one is the penalty point and 2 points for the other person, and then the 4th one's a disqualification.
Okay.
So,
is there a set amount of time for stalling before they award these?
What it says in the rule book is 20 seconds.
So it could,
20 seconds.
So it could be 20, 20, 20, 20.
Yeah, so in theory, every 20 seconds they could ding you for a penalty for Lute.
So if you have a minute left and you're ahead by points, it
1,
wouldn't be enough time to be
2,
disqualified.
3. You wouldn't get disqualified, but the other person could potentially score 2 points, an advantage, 3 penalties, and 2 points, and that could make or break the match.
Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely. Anything you noticed, coaching or just looking at the competitors?
I was saying people make mistakes. Not mistakes. They were performing habits I don't believe they normally perform during sparring. And I think that's just a matter of adrenaline and nerves and getting in a bad situation. And instead of getting to the position or pummeling or doing something specific that would have helped them get out of it, they would tend to hold on. You'd be in side control, be in mount, or in a position where you want to make space and escape, and they're holding on. So that to me is just a matter of drilling. That's why we drill, is so our bodies
Drilling and maybe experience
Yeah.
of competing.
I think experience with competing will help with your nerves and help you have the ability to problem solve while you're in a match.
Yeah.
But drilling will be your body just reacting without thinking. So if you are comfortable with the drill and you do it a lot, I don't think you're going to hold in a position when you're used to not holding in that position. If you just, do it here and there, you focus on specific things that aren't within that parameter, then
Yeah. So yeah, there's a tendency to like want to grab onto things or hold onto things when really distance is your friend, or you
Right.
want to be creating distance rather than closing that distance
exactly.
off.
And that could be, they're tired,
Sure.
and they just want to rest. It could be that they've just gone blank and they don't know exactly what they want to do. What I saw consistently, it was a lot across the boards for the lower belts, was being in half guard without the underhook on bottom, and having the crossface, and people holding onto the head instead of pummeling underneath and getting it
While they're on top.
or while they're on bottom.
Okay.
So they would get past the half guard and they would hug the head, and hold on to them to keep them from passing. And you don't need to do that because your legs are keeping them from passing. So
Another thing that I noticed, I think that people kind of common white belt mistakes that are really easy, or not even mistakes, but just awareness things. Like if you're on top and you get to half guard, if you just go cross face underhook and you get to that chest to chest, that's an advantage.
right.
So always in your passing, as you're passing, if it makes sense, if you're in a half guard situation, trying to get to that chest to chest position to score an advantage.
And
I noticed a lot of matches, people losing the opportunity to score, points or advantage points, just not in knowing. So another thing would be the 3-second control. They would be transitioning through positions so fast that there wasn't any control.
So
and I
points
think,
weren't awarded for being in.
so they would score
Control
advantage
position.
points
Right.
for doing certain things, but they would go from let's say they got the sweep, they get on top and then they pass the guard right away, so they score the 2 points and then they score the guard pass points, but then they would rush from knee on belly to mount to the armbar, and it would be advantage when they could have scored 2 points for the knee on belly, 4 points for for the mount, and then maybe another maybe even secured the armbar,
Right.
because they were controlling the position. So I think jiu-jitsu, or the way the points are structured in jiu-jitsu, is it awards or rewards the competitor for gaining control. Not just doing techniques, but for like showing that they have control.
It is a real great reflection of what takes place in a fight.
Yeah.
You're not going to get awarded points for closing your guard because you're just starting off.
Yeah.
But
Let's see. There's a couple other notes that I took to myself. Anything else that kind of lately?
I think for white belts in particular, especially the first match, I think as long as you come away with 1 or 2 good things from a match, it was a success, and that could just be making weight. It could be just getting out there. Just going out there and doing it is more than what 60-70% of practitioners will accomplish. So just getting out there and getting the feel for competition is great. But in addition to that, if you did one good thing, if you're able to get to the guard you wanted, or scored points, or got a setup that you were looking for, I think that's a win. And if something didn't go your way, as long as you learned a lesson from it, I think it was worth doing.
Yeah, so that's an important reminder. There was one more thing that I keep remembering, but I keep forgetting. Oh, so when you're being coached, right? So you have the coach that's talking to you from the sideline. The best times to be coached isn't necessarily while you're doing a technique. Although once you go to the ground and you're controlling the position, it does make sense. And a good coach is going to be able to, cue you into certain things that either your opponent's doing or you're doing that you could be making small adjustments to improve your position. But the best time is when there's a break in the action. So let's say you go out of bounds and you're walking back to the middle, or let's say the referee has to stop the match for whatever reason. That's the perfect time to look over at your coach, make some eye contact, and just affirm that you are listening to them. You hear you acknowledge that you hear them, and you're going back into the competition. But at the same time, don't look to your coach to be there to fight your match for you, to tell you exactly what you should be doing. It's your training, it's your preparation that you do with your coach leading up to your tournament. That's, I think, the most valuable. There's a lot of matches that a coach can talk you through to win, but those aren't necessarily. I don't know. I shy away from doing that. I shy away from doing that.
I think it's typically when things are going wrong.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. When things are going right.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Encouragement.
Right.
Keep going.
So but make that's the time to look over at your coach. If you're in the battle, in the heat of the battle, and the coach talking to you, you don't need to look over at them and say, yeah, I hear you, or you can maybe nod, to show that you hear them, but otherwise, stay focused on the details of your match. And when there's that break in action, maybe an injury time or something like that, that's the perfect time to look over and just confirm with your coach that you're listening.
Fix your gears, fix your belt.
Correct, yeah. Anytime you're fixing your uniform, right, those are perfect. Your hair.
Yeah, the hair braid.
I'm just kidding. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, need tips from your tournament experience, Aaron and I are happy to give you any kind of suggestions. Don't hesitate to let me know. Let Coach Aaron know. See you guys on the mat.
Good job.